ELI5 Energy prices increasing when energy is 100 when generated. All electricity goes through the same grid. If you are next to a coal power plant, you probably get most of your electricity from it. Buying renewable energy means the provider promises to buy or produce an amount of renewable energy equal to your consumption, but not at the same time as your consumption necessarily. You get power even when there's no wind, and one provides power when it's windy no matter what. Usually nuclear and renewables work all the time, and coal and gas are used to adjust production to match demand because it's easy and fast to ramp them up and down. Speculative because I don't know the specifics of your provider, but if they paid for infrastructure, interest has an impact. Most source generation is constructed via loan, and just like a conventional loan, as the interest rate changes, the cost of those capital investments, which is amortized over users, has to change. This doesn't account for new investment, supply and demand calculation, or if your provider is just a reseller where their vendor would be subject to a lot of these market conditions as well, and they're passing it on to you. This is likely because you buy from the grid and your energy provider sells to the grid at market rates. This is a basic economics supply-demand problem. When there is a lot of demand for a product, the cost goes up. Almost always. In this particular case, the cost for non-wind energy is going up because of the war, so people who used to buy from oil, coal, whatever are now trying to buy wind. They are trying to buy it, you are trying to buy it, there is only so much of it. The seller sells it for more and the cost goes up. The cost of energy in the market at any given time is determined by the most expensive production method producing at that time. Otherwise that method would have to stop producing, can't operate on a loss, and that can't happen since demand and supply must always be equal in the grid. At base consumption level, the most efficient, cheapest power plants are used and the price is low. When demand increases, more expensive power generation methods must be brought online and the price has to make it possible. Even though a wind farm doesn't need fuel, it still has ongoing costs, and those costs change over time. One example is the lockdowns made it difficult to get replacement parts for everything, so maintenance costs increased. With the large wage gains we've seen the last couple of years, labor costs have increased for everything. Interest rates have skyrocketed, so the interest on any loans used to build the wind farms has increased. First, they need to pay for windmills and to keep them running and to maintain the grid. Secondly, the cost of other energy sources determines the market, so they can set their prices based on that. By signing up for this 100 renewable energy, you still get the same power. A larger cut of your money just goes to the renewable sources. The cost of energy is a wholesale market, it changes constantly like the stock market does. If supply exceeds demand, you can even end up with negative prices, infrastructure must be maintained or reliability falls. Costs increase, maintenance increase, rates go up. The continual adding of renewable energy is very costly as well, and e.g. continual increase on demand electric cars adds to the whole situation. Effectively, your energy supplier is not supplying you with wind energy, they are paying for someone else to use coal, oil, gas instead. So they can say the wind energy supplied to the grid from wind farms is what you get. Assuming there are cost plus pricing, labor, parts, AMD distribution costs are up. New replacement turbines are more costly. Any debt refinancing, or variable rate debt the business has is also more expensive. Does your electricity work when the wind is still? Does it ever go off for 15 minutes or so? If not, then your provider is 100 lying to you about it being 100 wind energy. In large scale, energy is bought and sold based on supply and demand. How it is made is not a factor in deciding the price of commodities, because wind is expensive to buy when you don't produce it yourself. The idea that renewable will be cheaper by default is a strange one.